Welcome to Superhero Success. I'm Jael Green.
I'm Jael Green.
And today we have a guest. Introduce yourself.
I'm Pastor Mark Henton, pastor of the Mighty Men of Faith Evangelistic Church, located here in Chicago at 2750 West Columbus Avenue.
Okay, Pastor Henton, I have a question for you. Who inspired you to become who you are?
My dad inspired me. He pastored the church for 50 years before I did. He did an incredible job. He reached great heights in ministry, and I always admired it. Even when I was a little boy, watching him, seeing how he moved and what he did, I just drew great inspiration from that. He was on television for 40 years. He reached a lot of milestones, and I was attracted to that. My other brothers, even though we were in church, they kind of veered away from church. But for me, he was the source that really just captivated my attention. And even though he was my dad and raising me in the house, and my father raised me, my mother didn't raise us, my dad did. I just always admired how consistent he was. So by the time he passed away, he had nearly 8,000 messages that you could order. He had done some just incredible things. So I drew great inspiration from him, and he was the person who inspired me in terms of ministry and pastoring.
It seems like your father impacted you a lot. So is there like a way that you want to impact other people too?
Absolutely. I want to leave my mark, as they say. I think that my assignment in the earth is to help people to reach that plateau that they strive to achieve, to inspire young people like yourselves who are exceptionally talented, that no matter what it is that you seek to do or achieve or want to accomplish, that it's in your hand, it's in your ability to do so. I think my assignment is to open doors, to create opportunities, and to be a support, to plant seeds, and to make sure that doors are open for the next generation. Absolutely.
My question for you is, when you were growing up, how is it different than when we're growing up? Like, what do you see in the modern world?
Well, when I was growing up, it was tremendously different. When I was growing up, they had a rotary phone. When I was growing up, that was before they even used push buttons on phones. And so the world has tremendously changed. Technology has changed everything that we do. Your phone today has some 3.5 million different apps. We couldn't even think of doing anything that was 3.1. Matter of fact, 2000. When we were growing up, the television stations there were only maybe 9 or 10 television stations. Now they're like 1,500 of them. So it's tremendously different. I think your generation is exposed to far more than what we were exposed to. And so your knowledge base is broader. Your generation is far more knowledgeable than my generation, certainly, and most generations before you, because you all have access to things that we never had access to. I'm telling you now that if I was growing up and you had a phone that you could Google answers to, I would have been an A student. I'm telling you now, I would have been on honor roll. I probably would have graduated valedictorian if I had an apparatus that I could pick up and say, Google, what year was Frederick Douglass this, or what year was this done, or what scientist did this, or you all have access to information. I think is a tremendous difference between your time and my time.
Okay, back to the rotary phone. You said the modern technology in like your time was pushing buttons. So how did y'all text and like talk to each other?
Well, there was no text. In fact, I remember when you could be on the phone talking. I had an experience. I was on the phone. I was about 16 years old. And in my day, the operator could interrupt your telephone call. I'm on the phone talking to a young lady. It's 11 o'clock or maybe close to 12. And all of a sudden, the operator comes online and says, excuse me, There is an emergency call from, her name was Regina Mosley, from Regina Mosley, and she wants you to hang up the phone. And I told the operator no.
Dang, so her whole government name.
A whole government name. And so, of course, she came by the house and then took the phone out of my hand and hung it up. So that night didn't go very well. But that's the difference. Operators, that's when you could dial 411 for information. That's where the whole 411 thing come from. That was back then. We had yellow pages, white pages, where basically every person in the neighborhood had their phone listed, where you could pick the yellow pages or the white pages up and look up their name and find their telephone number. Really different from today, right?
So they were just helping you do interference. So
Yeah.
So that was another girl, Pastor Hinton?
Well, I was only 16 years old, so I wasn't quite pastoring then. I probably would have, with some excuse, or would have said, "Hold on, cousin," or something like. Yeah. So yeah, it's a great difference between now and then.
All right. So we all know what we're here for. What is your superpower?
Well, I would say that my superpower is my faith in God. And I've always had faith. Even when I was a child, as a boy, I believed God for certain things. And I would see certain things happen when I believed God for it. I just felt that, if I believed God, that God could make certain things happen and God could manifest certain things. And recently, I had a young man at my church who came to me. His daughter was diagnosed with messianic breast cancer, stage 4, triple negative. So there wasn't much that the doctors were saying that they could do. And of course, he's a father. He's concerned. This is his daughter. And so we gripped hands and we prayed, and I believed, he believed. As we believed and prayed to God, our faith was applied, and something wonderful, wonderful happened. Last week, his daughter went to get some test. I don't know if it's an MRI or a biopsy, but they did it on last week. And on Monday, they called him and told him that his daughter was cancer-free. They couldn't find no cancer in her body. And
None?
she was stage 4, none. She had a tumor. The tumor was gone. She had no signs of cancer. And she had bone fractures that had happened because of the cancer. And the bone fractures, most of them had gone away. So, if you talk about superpower, of course, I give God all the glory for what he did. But I would say that it's my faith in God. I believe, whatever it is, when you have faith in God, he can make it happen. He can manifest it.
Yeah, well, you need to give us some of that superpower.
Sharing is caring. Come on, Pastor.
Sharing is caring, right? Well, you all have superpower. You all have great superpower. I think two of you all, I know that you all are going to do exceptionally well in your lifetime and leave a great mark. And I'm thankful for this interview, because it's not that often I get interviewed by young people your ages who are intelligent and who have vision. And that's a great, great thing.
Something you said earlier about how the world is different now than from when you were growing up. How do you think church is different for young people, and how is it beneficial for them?
Well, when we look at the church, especially in our community, African American community, it has always been a foundational institution for us. It has helped us. If you go back from slavery to the period of abolitionists, the Underground Railroad, what people don't stop to remember or think about, that a lot of places where that Underground Railroad led to was churches, because church was the only place where we were allowed to congregate and come together. And so we see it as a foundational institution in our communities. Our church is 61 years old. And so how many African-American businesses do we have that's 61 years old? Other ministries that I know right here in Chicago, 75 years old, 125 years old. It's a mainstay. So I think that as young people come, they can grow from the stability that church offers. When we were coming to church as children, as young people, we saw a lot of positive images. We saw families that came, husbands and wives with their children, and we wanted to emulate those positive images that we saw. I think today the church still has positive images in spite of all of the negative things that may go on. And I think young people can grow and take from that and can help to stabilize them and to fortify them to help them fulfill their vision in life.
Is there one final message that you want to give the younger people?
Yes, I think that the young people add something to the church itself. I don't think that the church can get to where it needs to go without the input of youth. I think the input that you all bring to the church helps us to be relevant to where we are today. Things change. Like I said about the rotary phone, we're no longer using those things. So we have to learn from a younger generation of how to create the environment in church that becomes relevant to your generation, that allows them to know, or should I say, allows them to come and to be able to experience church and enjoy it, to become a part of what the church offers. Yes, and hopefully, I won't say hopefully, but I believe that God is wanting to bless us to be able to add to that, add to your generation, and open doors so that the strength that comes from ministry, that comes from church, that comes from God will be continuous in our community. Absolutely.
Thanks for watching Superhero Success. I'm Jael Green.
I'm Caleb Green.
And I'm Pastor Mark Henton.
And remember, everyone can be a superhero.
You just have to find your superpower.